And we're live just like that.
Are we, Mikey?
It's a freaky, fractious Friday. He's New York Vinnie. I'm Michael Knight, and we welcome you to our version of taking on the world. Your own version of taking on the world can go any way you want. For instance, Donald Trump and Mario Rubio took on the world and the Russians, and they were negotiating, and everything was set. It was going to be peace. It was going to be negotiated peace. Just like Donald Trump said he was going to pull off on his first day in the office.
Well, he's
Now the
probably
Russians don't want to talk to him anymore.
Oh, fuck.
Now nobody wants to talk to him. Nobody wants to negotiate or talk or peace or anything. Can you imagine that the Russians are saying, we got a war with Ukraine to worry about. We don't need you guys' help. We got a thing over here.
Would you want to talk to that puss bag? I mean, really, seriously. If you had anything in the world to talk with anybody about, would you want President Slapdick? Would you want to talk to him? Would you want to be the person who would have anything to do with him? He's a nut job.
He's losing control of. He's got so much chaos going on, all his court cases and his worldwide threats. He can't keep track of who's his friend and who's his enemy. Oh, excuse me. I didn't get any sleep last night. Suffering from what do you call it when you can't sleep? Insomnia. Well,
you can only threaten.
That's what I do. I insom.
You would some. Well, it's some high, some low, as I used to say.
Ain't it the truth? Ain't it that the truth?
You can only threaten so many people. You can threaten some of the people some of the time, but you can't threaten all of the people all of the time.
You can threaten Greenland just about every day, though.
Well, no, you see, you can't, Mikey. Everybody has their limits. You can threaten people, and eventually, at some point in time, somebody's going to go, you know what? You're just a big old bag of pus. You're a smelly
big bag of gas.
Bag of pus. And negotiate with you. I wouldn't freaking sit next to you on the bus. Never mind negotiate with you. I wouldn't want to be in the same room. You have nothing. You've got nothing. The only thing you have is a bunch of pussies that are scared of you, that bigger pussies have elected to office.
Did you see the comments from Senator Murkowski of Alaska yesterday?
No, I don't watch the news. I've sworn the news off.
Well, she said something that you'll find interesting because you just about quoted her. She said that the senators, she and her fellow senators live in fear, and the fear is there every day, and it's very real, and that revenge is waiting right around the corner if they don't step in line. And I'm sure she's sorry she said that, but the fact is, that's how the highest elected members of each state, the senators representing them in the nation's capital, feel about the president. They are afraid of what he will do, afraid of what he will say, afraid of what his actions will bring about, to the point where they cannot be senators. They're just living in fear of retribution right around the corner.
And they are that why?
They live in fear of Trump.
Because they allowed it to happen. Because
they wanted it to happen. They insisted it happen.
Because they thought that they were going to control this great power. They, and including Lisa Murkowski, who had several chances to go. Wasn't Murkowski the one that a couple of years ago, after the first impeachment, said, well, he's learned his lesson?
That was the senator from Maine.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. I got them confused because they're right next door to each other.
Can you imagine being that far apart and having the same weather? But they do.
Yeah, they do. Anyway, but they are people who, I don't know if they signed up. I tend to think that if you're from Alaska or Maine, you probably were much more signing up for public service than you were to try to make a whole bunch of money quickly. But they jumped in on the bandwagon. They had
Well, sure they
several
did.
candidates to,
They were happy.
you know,
They were happy to go along.
And,
To get along, you got to go along.
So if we're all going to get screwed out here, let them all get screwed too. We talk about this and we talk about this, and the rest of the world now, we've done this to ourselves. Nobody has done this to us. As Nikita Khrushchev said so eloquently many, many, many years ago, and kids, go look Nikita Khrushchev up if you don't know. You will destroy yourselves. We don't have to spend the money to destroy you.
He also said we will bury you, but he didn't. But he said later he didn't mean it. Now you'll do it to yourself.
Well, yeah, he did. Yeah, and I got to an argument with several wives, and said I didn't mean it. Look where I am. Bottom line is that we have done this to ourselves, and we are the only ones that are going to get us out of this.
Starting today.
Plain and simple. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and I am more and more becoming of the belief, and have tried to study up a little bit more on what general strikes accomplish. Because it seems to me that places like France and Italy and places like that,
you stop everything.
That when you stop everything, and that the politicians listen. If you go down and you get dressed up with your water bottle and your fancy yoga shorts and your $100 walking shoes, and you walk down to the town plaza and you sit around and some guy's playing guitar and everything, and yeah, it's nice, but the politicians sit in their offices and they drink champagne and they look at the TV or they look out their window at the town square and they go, they laugh. But let those fuckers not have that person to see 100,000 people walking down the street on Tuesday, and nobody's there to serve them their champagne, and nobody's there to turn on the lights in the office building, and nobody's there to run the refrigeration, and nobody's there to do the things that they take for granted, that they think will never end, that they think that because they're paying somebody $20 an hour to do it.
Hey, the gate on the parking lot's still closed. Let's open that thing up. I got to park.
Right.
No.
Then now you're saying something. Now you're causing people to stop and think because you're disrupting their regular, even when you go down, and I know people love to go down to I-5 and stand on I-5 and stop traffic and do all of that kind of shit. Do all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that you're inconvenienced for 15 minutes. The cops come, they move everybody out of the way, and everybody goes to this local Starbucks and drinks coffee and says, look at what we did. Let's go home and watch the news.
What's the playback?
But the reality is, again, you're not doing anything. You're doing nothing. Now, you go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and you stop the means of production. You cause economic harm. You cause stocks to go down. You cause... I don't know that the general strikes work for the most part. The emergency services are still there. The ambulances still go to answer calls, and the doctors still go to work. But other than that, it's a Sunday, and maybe if your cable goes out, you don't get a cable guy to come out and fix it, or maybe if you're or this or that happened. Nobody got there. Everybody's down marching. And there's millions of people that turn out and say that we want something to change. Now you're talking. And I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, and they said, well, we can't do that. There's a woman, what do people do that are $120 an hour and they can't go to work? What are they going to do? They're not going to have, oh my God, they're not going to be able to to drive through at the McDonald's that week. Well, you know what? Maybe you and I and everybody else that believes this has to get their fat ass out of the McDonald's and has to get their fat ass away from the cable TV. And maybe on this day, when I always believe, and it's Good Friday, and I always believe that, and I know you and I look at this differently. I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus. I do believe that there was a person who on this day or a day like it many years ago, many years ago, got up on a cross and was crucified because he led things like general strikes.
Well,
And he put the thorn in
that's
his
one
head.
thing. That's one theory, but if you're all knowing, all omniscient, and all powerful, and you can't get away from 20 Romans, your story doesn't hold up very well.
Well, the story's held up for this many years.
It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny, is what I'm saying.
Well, again, we look at this differently. I think the story does hold up to scrutiny in the terms of that you don't get anything without giving up something. There's no free ride.
Well, I don't know if that's the message you have from Good Friday, but I agree with you on that.
I think it is part of the message. I think that at places you have to make sacrifice. You have to be willing to sacrifice, whether it be a paycheck, whether it be a luxury, whether it be your life, your freedom. You have to be willing to go out there and sacrifice to accomplish anything.
No, there's a lot of truth in that.
And there is, and this whole deal where people are going, well, I'm just going to, no. We let this happen. We were complacent the first time, and the second time, there were people who were stupid enough to think that this guy, or uninformed enough, I'm not just going to say stupid, were uninformed enough to think that this guy was going to come in and lower prices.
In fact, Jon Stewart talked about that the other night, the last Monday night that he was on, where he said that he apologized for thinking somehow that Trump was going to be different, but not this different this fast.
Well, he's different, all right, that's for sure. I don't fault Jon Stewart for that.
The destruction that he's wreaking and the tragedy that he has prepared for us is on a grander scale than anyone ever predicted.
Well, again, you could stop this. You could tomorrow morning or Monday morning, whenever Congress comes back, you could have somebody introduce a bill for articles of impeachment.
It hasn't got a prayer, but that's the way to go. But it hasn't got a prayer at this point.
Well, if there's enough Republicans who feel the same way as Lisa Murkowski does,
well, there are, but they're not going to.
Well,
they're not going to put their.
Grow a pair of balls and stand up and do something about it.
Well, that would be ideal, but even
fuck up and let the country go down the fucking tubes. That's
there
all.
you go. That's their second. They'll take the second choice every time. Think about Lindsey Graham. What would he choose?
Fuck Lindsey Graham. You don't need Lindsey Graham. You need 20 Congress people. And I don't even know how many senators. It's not that they hold this great majority.
You have to have 60 votes but for impeachment, you have to have 60 votes.
Right. Well, so 20 Congress people give you that, don't they? Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's only in the Senate.
You can't come up with 60 votes in the Senate? You have 48
today.
Or something.
You do have 48. You got Murkowski and the gal from Maine give you 60. I'm sorry, 50. You still need 10.
Yeah, you still need 10. But
now, in time, that will happen, I believe. I hope I'm right about that. In time, that will happen, but I don't think Monday is the day.
Because I'll roll the dice with JD Vance, because I don't think he's smart enough to do what Trump
Don't
is
let him
doing.
hold anything breakable. No, he hasn't charismatic enough. He can't lead the pack like Trump. He doesn't instill the fear now that we know that they run on fear.
What this country, the people that run this country, if there's anybody else that feels like Murkowski, and I tend to believe that there are,
Oh,
that
there
there are
has to be.
people, because you always hear, well, in private, he says, and in private, he says, well, you know what? You got to have a double-pronged attack at the very least. You got to have senators and Congress people who will stand up and say, I am done with this.
Out you go.
A Supreme Court who will stick to their 9-zip, rulings of that this guy is a psycho.
Well, I think we have the breaking now in the courtrooms across America of the grip that Trump has on the legal profession, and that has to continue. Right? That'll be the crack that allows the senators some strength to vote for conscience and to tell people what they really feel, instead of being frozen in fear.
I don't think it'll happen till the people that vote for them indicate that if you don't do something about this, the next time you come up, you're gone.
Well, that's the threat. That threat has to be in place as of today.
That's why you start to look at things like a general strike. Why you look at things that say you don't want to do what we the people say. Well, we'll stop the country for 24 hours. No trucks will move. No ships will get unloaded. Nothing will happen.
No gas will be delivered. No gas will be pumped.
Nothing. No mechanic will work on a car. No car will be sold. No roof will be repaired. Nothing. That
Elective surgery only.
Willing to give up a day's pay. I, as a waitress, am willing to give up a day's tips and sit home. That's what, to me, Good Friday is about sacrifice. And we better start getting the idea in this country that we got to do something, and got to do something quick. Because I went back and looked at our shows, several of them since the election, and we're always saying the same thing. We come on and we say, oh my God, Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump did this, Trump did that. If you look at the front page of the New York Times, it's Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump, Trump, Trump. Well, you know what? Comes a time where you got to change it. And if we don't do that soon, Michael, we're not going to have anything. We're going to have nothing. We may as well just, lift up, pull down our pants, bend down.
You'll have a government. You'll have a government that will actually attack you on any pretense.
They're doing it already. Not
Yes,
you
they
go
are.
ahead. You have it already.
Yes, they are. If you're the head of the Federal Reserve, if you're a federal judge, if you're a congressman waiting for the nod, you live in fear, and your very existence has been challenged.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but it'd be nice to see that the National American Leagues canceled their schedules today because all the ball players signed a pledge that said that they wouldn't show up on April 23rd or whatever it is, whatever day it is. All the football players said they weren't going to go to camp on that day. All the basketball players said that they won't get arrested on a particular day. How would that be? How would it be? What do you think the politicians would do if they got on the Beltway at 6 o'clock or 6:30 on a Tuesday morning?
Chock-a-block traffic.
Right into work. They'd go, something's wrong. Something's not right. and their driver didn't show up to take it. They had to actually call Uber, and Uber didn't show up.
What they do in France is they make sure the banks comply with the strike, so nobody can get any money. No checks are processed. No business is conducted, and the farmers have to get into it so they can bring their trucks and their tractors out onto the roads to block it up, so you can't get to work if you think you're going by yourself.
Right.
Well, Vinnie said we shouldn't go, but he doesn't have to go. But I have to get. I have to be there, so I'm going to work. No, you're not. You can't even get not unless you're walking.
The problem here is that America has lost the idea that there is a cause bigger than yourself.
Nothing's more important than my interest in me.
Right. That's what helped us win the war in the Second World War, because people said there is a cause that is bigger than me. And if I have to go and sacrifice my life to keep that going, if I have to go and get a leg shot off or an arm shot off or worse, to keep that going, I am willing to do that.
Well, we forgot we're a nation of revolutionaries.
Well, right now we're a nation of people who are kowtowing to a leader that is not a leader, that is no more than an Adolf Hitler, that is no more than somebody who wants to purify America, get rid of the people who don't look like him.
Anybody in jail who disagrees with him.
And take you to jail. And if you're, and no trial, if you look like you committed a crime, well, we'll put you in jail. You don't have to be guilty.
We won't feed you. That's up to the guys in San Salvador.
Not guilty of anything. And on top of it, we're going to take our guilty prisoners, our people that commit crimes, and we're going to send them to another country.
Unless they work for us, in which case we put them in charge of the FBI and the National Intelligence Organization.
Right, unless they wear a suit. If they wear a suit, then we'll do something to make them, make them legit.
Let them sit next to Bobby Kennedy Jr.
That's a whole nother. Don't even get me started there. We're going to find the worst possible people we can find.
And they'll work for us. It's the worst possible people need a job.
We're going to find the people that will, when Donald Trump says something, will jump. That's who we
leap into the air like a frog in a frying pan.
Bobby Kennedy couldn't even get on The Apprentice. So what do we want for a country? Do we want The Apprentice? Do we want Meatloaf running the country?
If only.
Or do we want people? Do we want to go back to having this imperfect union, but a country where at least that the government isn't against the people?
Stopping the research into medical problems, trying to choke off the function of a university, shutting down cities, shutting down the Department of Education, shutting down everything that's the lifeblood of the force of the fabric of the society, destroying it. They want us to turn on ourselves. Bring out your dead. Just bring out your dead. We'll come and buy on Tuesday.
If you don't align with us politically, we don't get you aid for the fires that burn down your houses, or and if the government can do it, why can't insurance companies? If the government says
we're not covering you,
we're not covering you. You voted Democrat in the last 3 elections. We're not covering you. Our name is the Hartford Insurance Company. Hartford's a Republican city.
We talked it over with them, and they're cool with it. So off you go.
Sorry.
Not really. Not sorry.
Yeah, actually, we're not sorry.
We're a
Next time
company.
you'll
We
vote
don't
for what we want you to vote for.
think about it. Yeah. Think where you made your mistake.
So that's me today. That's what that's where I'm at today. That's where I'm just done with the Donald Trump crying my beer about.
Strawberry came from California, so there's no tariff on it. I'm going to eat it.
There you go. It's like I read an article this morning about the Sonics coming back to Seattle.
Oh God, when was it written?
And it was written today. It's in, I think, today's Times by one of the sports reporters in the Times, and Adam Silver is saying, "Well, we're looking again at the possibility of expanding, and certainly Las Vegas and Seattle are two cities that we would look at expanding." And I'm sitting there going to and so of course there are 8, 10 people who will make comments and saying, "Oh my God, I can't wait! This is great news! Oh my God, this is wonderful!
At
Oh, this
last.
is you know what? Are you stupid? Are you just plain stupid?
There's a lot of that going around.
Do you really think that? I mean, people have this vision that the Sonics are going to come back to Seattle, and it's going to be like the old days. It's going to be Mikey and Vinnie on KJR banging the boards after every game, and it's going to be the Gary Payton show, and it's going to be $10 tickets up in the rafters. Kevin Calabro coming back to Seattle to do the games. It's going to be the wives on this side of the Coliseum, the girlfriends on this side of the Coliseum. It's going to be, that you're going to walk through the vomitorium and watch the players, and it's all going to be wonderful. And it's a different world we live in. This isn't 1996.
Most certainly not.
The players, first of all, you're not going to get into that game for less than $250
to see an expansion team.
To see a bunch of scrubs that play a very different game than what you're used to seeing. And those players are going to live in Bellevue. They're not going to live anywhere near you. There's not going to be a Lenny Wilkins there. There's not going to be a Steve Scheffler. It's going to be a bunch of tall millionaires that are going to come to town and have nothing to do with you.
That's if the promises come true.
If you can come up with $1 billion to get a franchise.
Or more. The franchises are now costing $4 billion just to buy one.
Yeah, if you could come up with that kind of money, and I don't know who's going to come up with that kind of money here that ain't named Bill Gates, and he ain't going to do it, or Paul Allen, and he ain't going to do it because he's dead.
How many teams does he have to buy anyway?
How many times did we take the phone call? Why doesn't Bill Gates? And then and we already see it with the Kraken.
Did they have to be bailed out by somebody?
5 years, and the luster is off for the Kraken. All of a sudden, you got people who are saying, "Gee, I can't afford that kind of money to go to a game. I can't. I can't afford that." I got to get ready for the general strike that's coming.
Steve Kerr was saying the other day, or probably a month ago now, that the real problem is the NBA is just a billionaires club. Billionaire owners, billionaire players, billionaire attitude, billionaire rights. Everything is in the billions. And decisions are made accordingly.
Yeah. There is a money pot.
It's not that football and baseball aren't rich man sports. They are. It's not that the tickets aren't expensive. They are. But for some reason, basketball, because there's only 5 guys on the court and only 12 on the team, that you have this idea that it's more exclusive. There's fewer people making more.
Yeah. And nobody mentions the elephant in the room.
The Chicago White Sox.
No, Europe. I think the NBA is much more interested in expanding to London and to Rome. That's where they see
Rome. Well, I'm sure that they have plans for that, and I know the NFL has their eyes on the Far East and Europe as well. But the fact remains that that's an expansion effort of its own, and not guaranteed to pay off, not guaranteed at all.
Right.
And plus, we're not that popular in Europe right now, as you've noticed.
Right. But I will also say to you that there's probably much more of an upside of concentrating your efforts on expanding to Europe than there is to putting a team in Seattle.
Possibly, you're right.
Excuse me. That there's much more of an upside of saying, I would, Vegas, I can understand that's the new, everybody wants to have a team in their city because of sports gambling. Let's face it, gambling runs sports right now. The profits from gambling equal in each league the revenue from 2 franchises.
For a while there, it was the refs. The refs are now in line for their paycheck from the gambling hordes, just like everybody else.
Yeah. So, the idea that we're going to go out and go out and put a franchise in Seattle, while it's a noble thing for a lot of people, I think it's a wonderful idea. I'd love to. I'd like to see it for the sake of people.
Like to see it work out.
But the reality is it's not going to be the same. And all the people who think that it's going to be the same, and I feel for these people because they had something very precious to them ripped away. And it was stolen from them. Make no mistake about it. It was stolen. It was a contrived conspiracy plan to take the team away, to pay back.
It was easy to do because Seattle still had weak owners, famous for it, all over the league for it.
They had owners that wanted to move the team. They were, Howard Schultz was allowed to sell the team to owners that sole intention was to move the team.
Well, what was Schultz's intention? To be the innocent bystander? It's not my fault.
Schultz's intention was to sit there at midcourt and everybody was going to praise him. And everybody was going to, oh, Howard Schultz, you're so cool. And when he didn't get that, when the city held a grudge against him for several different reasons, he said, I don't need this. And he sold the team.
And the structure of his ownership was, how many owners were there? 56?
Well, with Schultz, there was a ton of people involved in it. But that happens in many sports teams. That's,
but too many cooks.
Usual.
They couldn't do anything correct. There was too many cooks.
Well, it's It's like a thing, Michael, where they have 50 owners of a team, but 2 of them are allowed to say something. 2 of them are managing partners. The other, 48 have a little pretty little thing on their wall and a nice set of seats. And it cost them, I don't know, $1 million for those seats. Or $2 million or whatever it is.
Yeah, now we're getting closer.
Well, I'm just using the figures as a.
No,
as a
I understand. You're right.
Yeah, as a figurehead. You know.
Plus, they got their money back. They got their money back on that investment.
Yeah, they made their money. Just like the Mariners owners are going to make their money back when they sell the team because the team's worth $1 billion. I mean, rich people don't buy these teams because they want to lose money. Rich people buy these teams because they know at the back end of it, they're going to get a chunk of money. That's why they have a floor of a building somewhere downtown with 20 or 30 accountants in it. Then when that money comes in, they know how to hide it.
First, you got to count it, then you got to hide it.
It's easy to count it these days. You know, then you got one guy in the back that speaks Swiss or French or whatever it takes to get a Swiss bank account.
You had better be speaking German, my friend.
And he's putting the money where it needs to go. So, I don't know. It's I just I know that I really I feel sorry for us as a country today. I feel sorry for us as sports fans because I don't know Seattle fans because I think there's a lot of false hopes being handed out about a team that I don't think is coming back in my lifetime. There may be a Seattle Supersonics someday. But, you know, there's a lot of airplane fans that think that there's a supersonic plane going to appear someday. That they're going to revive the SST.
First, they got to build one, and they're not going to do that.
Not going to happen.
In fact, there was an article today on CNN.com about the super large jets aren't being bought, purchased, used, or refurbished anymore. Going with smaller jets.
Yeah, quicker, more fuel efficient. So why do people have to get out of the plane and transfer at some airport? That's how it goes.
It's just that most destinations don't take 400 people anywhere anymore.
Yeah, there's very few places. I mean, the only place I could think of that you'd have 400 people, you know, could cram 400 people into a place, New York to LA or New York to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Or London to New York or, you know, some of those cities. And I don't think we're going to see the amount of tourism coming from anywhere to the United States.
It's dropped off the charts in every traditional country that visits us in the summer. Every single one of them is a goner. No tickets being sold, no planes being filled, no destinations being considered.
Yeah, if you want to see America, this is going to be the summer to do it.
Take a quick look. Yeah.
Specials. There's going to be specials like you've never seen, and there's going to be crowds that aren't going to be there.
And we can't go anywhere, so it'll be staycations for Americans.
You won't have to worry about, Grandpa complaining that, I went to the Grand Canyon and nobody speaks English. All these foreigners. Don't worry, they're not coming this year.
And you're not going to Paris. You don't have to worry about that, Grandpa.
Or next, or the year after that. And maybe the year after that. As long as Trump's president, they're not coming.
As long as he's president, you can't turn the lights on. As long as he's president, there is no go. It's only chaos and terrible, terrible outcomes.
You better
the
figure
tragedy
out a
we've
way to
been
get rid of this
predicting.
guy. Better figure out, and I saw somebody with some, why don't we hire somebody?
How about hiring the son of a sheriff's deputy from Florida and let him use his mother's gun?
Yeah, we didn't even get to that yet.
The shooter was on the children's advisory board for the sheriff's department. Jeez, what a place! What a country! What a country!
I mean, we have to. Well, again, isn't there a law that says you have to lock up your guns?
Oh yeah,
Isn't there
she broke it.
isn't there some kind of departmental regulation for police officers, at
Oh yeah,
least, that says when you're not using your weapons,
must be locked
you
up.
have to keep them secured? That shouldn't just be for police. That should be for everybody.
But certainly not
You're
my
not
son.
going to
He's
give
on
your
the
guns away. All right, keep
he's
them
on the Young
secured.
People's Advisory Board. And his shotgun jammed. That's what saved a bunch of lives yesterday. He hopped out of his car with his shotgun. Click, wouldn't work. He had to go back in and get his mother's pistol. And that's it. That's where he did his killing and shooting. Hold on, I just have to get back in my mom's car.
Yeah, don't go anywhere, anybody. I'll be right back.
You thought Tallahassee was going to be fun. Not necessarily.
Stick around. I got something for you in the car. God help us.
Hello, Florida State.
God
You know,
help
that's their
us.
second campus shooting. There was another one in 2017.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we have
Every
one
3-4.
somewhere all the time.
Well, it's like Clemens is explaining high school shootings. Well, it happens. You got to clear the blood. Every 10 years, got to happen. You'll see.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of country we've turned into, Michael. We've turned into a country where people get shot on college campuses and in hospitals.
Just because. That's the kind of the way we are. I can't tell you more. I haven't got time. We have to get out of here.
Schools and hospitals.
And while we're at it, I only stopped by to say shelter in place. There's another one going on right now.
Yeah, schools and hospitals. That's the places where we now see people killing people. That's the killing fields now.
Trump yesterday said that it wasn't people who killed people. It wasn't the guns that killed them. It was the people.
Yeah.
So I pointed out to him that it was the gun that jammed that prevented people from being killed, not the shooter. He went and got another gun.
Well, if you're listening to what Trump is saying, if you think that guy is saying anything of value,
Stop it right now.
you're you're in trouble. He's, I don't even know why they let him go on camera. He's better off saying nothing. You're better off saying absolutely nothing, because that's what you're going to get out of him. And it's a shame. I mean, who knows what? I mean, I don't know. Who knows what we would have had with Kamala Harris? But good God, it wouldn't have been this bad.
Wouldn't have been this.
No matter what.
It wouldn't have been this.
No matter what, it wouldn't have been this. It wouldn't have been this bad.
But regardless of what might have been, this is what we got. This is what we walked into. This is the perfect storm. And now it's our move.
Well, I told you what I think our move ought to be.
I think that's a good place to start.
I'm certainly open to suggestions. I'm certainly open to hearing people and what they think. What we should be doing. I mean, should we just be? I mean, is there anybody who thinks that this is taking a turn for the better?
Yeah, Mario Rubio.
Marco Rubio.
Can I call him Mario?
Yeah, you call him. Yeah, just don't call him late for dinner. Bada boom. Yeah, yeah. All right. Anybody who's not in the Trump sphere, I'm sure if I get in my car this weekend, not my car, but the beautiful Audi um, S6 e-tron that I'm driving,
What's it called?
and it's an S6 e-tron. It's an electric
Uh,
Audi, and it truly is one of the engineering marvels of the world. And I'm sure if I get into that thing and I drive out to Spokane, out to Eastern Washington, then I'll find a whole bunch of people who think the country is running just like it should. We're
Possible.
cleaning up America.
It's possible.
And the only reason that they're telling you that is because they don't want to be wrong.
They desperately do not want to be wrong. Not about this one.
It's not about making the country better. It's not about helping people. It's not about anything except I don't want to be wrong.
Because he promised us.
I don't want to be in a place.
I'm the only guy that can fix it, he said.
Only I can fix it. And he's fixing it, all right.
He's fixing it. There we go. We both said it together. He's fixing it.
He's fixing it. He's fixing it in ways that people never thought it could be fixed.
Well, now we know what you're driving tomorrow. What are you going to do at your 11 o'clock show tomorrow?
I'm endeavoring to try to get some people on with us that can explain what's happening with the tariffs.
That would be good. That'll be a national story if you can get it.
is that we don't know. Every time I talk to somebody and say to them, listen, you want to come on and talk about the tariffs? They say, well, yeah, I do. But you have to remember that chances are what we say at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning may not be true 11 o'clock on Monday morning.
There's the truest words ever spoken in the last month.
So, but we're going to go ahead. The New York Auto Show just happened this past week, and it's actually on now, but the media stuff happened this past week, and it's
where do they hold that? The Javits?
At the Javits, yeah. And it was probably the best auto show in a while. There was some news made there and some things, so we'll go over that. Hopefully we'll have a couple of people who have been at the auto show, and can kind of fill us in on what the big stories were, what happened, what can we expect. And part of the problem in the automotive business right now is that nobody knows what to expect.
Nobody knows nothing.
If you are a manufacturer right now, you don't know where you got to put your money in the next few years. You don't know whether you're going to have these tariffs, you're not going to have these tariffs. You just don't know.
You're making a product that's expensive and you don't know what it costs or what to sell it for.
Yeah. You don't know if you just don't know. And I forget the airline, I believe it was Eastern, had an advertising campaign many years ago that asked the question, is this any way to run an airline? And the announcer would say, you bet it is. Well, I would go, is this any way to run an automotive business? And I would go, no, it's not.
Well, that part of the equation is being run for them. They're fools. They supported the guy who screwed them.
Yeah. Yeah. The unions surreptitiously, while they said they were supporting Biden, supported Trump.
Hedged their bet.
They hedged their bet. They wanted to support whoever. They didn't go all in for Harris. And I can understand that. You know, they got things switched on them. You know, unions don't like that kind of thing.
If there's going to be any baiting and
They
switching,
got now.
we want to do the baiting and switching, if you don't mind.
Yeah. We got a couple of guys outside the Cadillac that want to talk to you. Get in the back seat with this guy. So I don't know, Mikey. I think that is where we sit with that. We have to. I would say to people that on this Good Friday, that is a day that I always look at as a day of reflection, a day to try to look inside a little bit and see where you're at and what you can do and
So it's Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, and then Good Friday. Is that how it works?
well, yeah, you got Holy Thursday, you got Good Friday today, which is the day that Jesus was crucified, and then Easter 2 days from now is the
comeback.
Which reminds me of something that I'll leave you with.
Yes.
Well, actually, you know what? I've told it before, and it's been a while since I've told it, so I don't know if I actually can do it because I'd have to. I didn't play it out in my head ahead of time, so maybe I'll save it.
Save it for Morose Monday.
Yeah, but I think that if anything, no matter what faith you are, no matter who you are, no matter what, think a little bit today. Reflect a little bit today. Take a couple of minutes and look inside yourself today.
See what you really want to do with the rest of it.
Oh yeah. See what you want. I mean, do you think that things are okay? Do you think that this is all good? What's going on? If you do, fine. But if not, better start.
If I can quote James Brown, he would say, "Get on up."
You better join up. You better sign up. You better get up. You better do something. Whether you have legs or you don't have legs, whether you have to use a walker to get there or you have to get a ride or you have to hitchhike or however, you got to start thinking about how
taking it to the streets, say the Doobie Brothers.
Yeah, how you can change the dynamic of what's going on, how you can how you can get people, because you don't make people respect you, you get people to respect you. How you can get people to respect us as Americans once again. And if you can do that, you got something. And if you can't do that,
once bitten, twice shy.
Yep. And if you can't do that, sit in front of your television set and wait until they come and get you and put you in the bag.
And they could run low on bags. You might just be dispersed right there on the spot.
Yep.
Dispensed.
Yep.
Well, Vinnie, have yourself a reasonably quiet weekend, pleasurable in some way, I hope.
I'm going to have a good weekend.
And have a good show tomorrow at 11.
I'm going to do the show tomorrow, talk about cars, and I'm going to watch some baseball, and hopefully have a nice, quiet, a good weekend. You too. Have a good weekend. You doing anything special this weekend?
Getting together with the kids later today.
There you go. All right, Mikey. I will see you on Monday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Until then, have a good weekend, pal.
The creeks are on strike. No rising.
Yes, the creeks are on strike. They're not rising. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, man.
What a wine. Let me tell you, we need some. See you, Vin.
Yeah, exactly. See you, Mikey. Thank you all for listening, too. We always appreciate it. We'll catch up with you on Monday right here with Michael Knight.
See you then.